Hi, thanks so much for joining me for a live from Ireland episode of the Traveling in Ireland podcast. Today I am joined by Ollie Gleason of Ollie's Tours. And funny story, when I first contacted Ollie a few months back to plan a catch up and talking about what has changed from last year along the Cliffs of Moher trail, in my ideal mind, we were going to be doing a little bit of walking, a little bit of chatting, maybe even some video as we talked about any changes and updates. Well, the weather had a very different idea, and we ended up chatting in the van at Doolin Pier and watching the wind and the waves batter the shoreline. But that didn't change the great conversation and the updates that I got from Ollie about the Cliffs of Moher, Cliff Walk, and the local area around Doolin.
Woohoo! I don't know if the microphones are picking it up, but it is a wild day at the Cliffs of Moher today, Ollie. We are watching the waves roll in and the ocean spray blowing. So not a great day personally for me to do a walk, but I know you have people doing the cliff walk today.
Yeah, for those listening, I am wearing shorts right now. This isn't that.
I've never seen you wear anything longer than your knee ever.
Now you do know it's bad when the barrel of the wave is blowing backwards again.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a wild day here on the west coast of Ireland. But the cliff walk is absolutely open for business, and we've people as we speak right now on a tour.
It's bold. It's very bold, but. Again, would you go with the whole saying of there's no bad weather, just bad clothes?
I would go with that, and honestly, I'd go with the saying is you're better off in it than looking at it.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm not going to agree with it today because I did get out to just get some ambiance video, and if you're not tethered down, you might blow away.
Jody, actually, while we're here, and listeners, I'm going to try and describe this the best I can, but we are sitting in a van at Doolin Pier overlooking the Cliffs of Moher, which honestly is a view that not a lot of people talk about, and I would recommend it. It's free and really easy to access if you have a car, or even if you're just staying in Doolin. But anyway, my point is, look across the water, you will see a cottage kind of nestled by itself on the lower end of the cliff. That is where the Squarespace Super Bowl ad was shot. That was on the Super Bowl last year, 2025. It's where they did a kind of a skit on the Banshees of Inisherin, where he was sat on a donkey saying Squarespace, oh Squarespace. He was throwing laptops at people. But yeah, there you go. That little cottage, that's the backdrop.
That's so funny. So Ollie, we talked about a year ago about the Cliffs of Moher trail because the big thing that was blowing up all over the internet was that the cliffs were closed, and it was causing a lot of confusion because A, how do you close a cliff? And B, people were completely skipping the Burren area because they thought that you couldn't visit, when really it was just the trail. So we did a terrific episode talking about the Cliffs of Moher trail, the places that were closed and things like that. And I wanted to catch up with you since I was back and just see if there have been any changes and get your advice.
Yeah, so I'll start off with saying the Cliffs of Moher Visitor Centre is 100% open, and the Cliffs of Moher Trail is open. What's closed is the access from one to the other. So if you're at the centre, you cannot access the trail, and that's important, Jody, because on the Cliffs of Moher Visitor Centre website, it says the cliff trails are closed because anyone going there, they are closed.
So I'm going to stop right there and ask a question. So it used to be that when you were at the visitor center at both ends, because there's the nice big limestone wall, right? And at both ends you could exit to get onto the cliff trail. You can't do that at all now? Or you can for a
You
point?
cannot get onto the cliff trail at all. There is a walk at the centre, right? And it's not tiny, but it's not by any stretch of the imagination a cliff walk. It's roughly 500 metres either side of O'Brien's Tower, maybe a bit more. In feet, I have no idea what it is. You can all get out your calculators later.
We don't metric there. Yes.
Excellent. But anyway, yeah. So since 2012, the cliff trail opened. And that was vital for many reasons. It created a new type of tourist that would come to the villages of Doolin and Liscannor, and they would walk up and they'd go to the centre and they'd either walk back or they'd get transportation back. This was massive because prior to 2012, the average spend of people coming to Clare was in the single digits. Since the trail is open, people are spending their money in B&Bs, hiring local guides like myself, thank you very much, using local bus drivers, taxi drivers, you name it. It's gone through the roof. And now that it's closed again, the connectivity is affecting local tourism. But in a nutshell, the trail is still open, you just can't access it from the visitor centre. So what we're recommending people do is, and again, I am a tour guide, so I'm biased, but you do not need a guide to do this. You can do it by yourself. It just with a guide, it does make it more enjoyable, more entertaining, safer in many parts, but also the big one is logistically seamless, because we know how to get you off the cliff, how to get you back, yada yada yada. It gets a bit complicated towards the end, but you can park your car somewhere in Doolin and you can hike up just before the Cliffs of Moher Visitor Centre. The views are still immaculate. They are amazing, and you'll have a great time. From the village of Doolin, you're looking at around 7 kilometres, which in miles, I think it's about 4 miles.
And it, like you said, it is really fun with a guide. I also think that having a guide on those, I know when we did it, there were some areas that it was helpful to have a guide there to keep us from maybe slipping and making a mistake. There are some spots, and I think that sometimes people feel like they're on vacation and nothing bad can happen, so they maybe take risks that they shouldn't.
I call it the holiday brain.
Yeah. Keeps you away from that. But the stories, I think, were the part that was really the best, because you've got all the local stories there. If you're walking it yourself, you've got beautiful views.
You do, yeah. No, and we always say, like, our aim is to educate you, entertain you, and keep you safe. And if you slip up on one of those things, it's not a good tour. But yeah, walking it, you don't need a guide. Great if you have one, but basically it absolutely is open. The vast majority of it is open. The famous Hag's Head side.
I was going to say that's the portion between Doolin and the cliffs, but to the south,
entirely shut. Okay, there is 38 farmers. I think it's actually now 36. Some of them were bought out, but there was 38 farmers that own the Cliffs of Moher coastal trail, stretching from Doolin, 12 miles. Look, see what I did there, guys? I'm using miles now. 12 miles all the way from Doolin to Liscannor. Where O'Brien's Tower is, that famous picturesque tower, that is operated by the local county council. Those landowners need to give permission, essentially, to the local council to do repair works on it, and at the moment those landowners are in negotiation with the local county council, and they're not over yet. And
that comes into a lot of politics and money and things like that, right?
Plenty of it, and I'm not a landowner, so I can't speak too much on it, but the negotiations are ongoing, and they're due to be done in the next year or so. But for 2026, what you can expect is the open sections will be the Cliffs of Moher Visitor Centre and the Cliffs of Moher hike from Doolin to just before the top. I always say to people, you can do the best of both worlds, named after my favourite show, Hannah Montana. So from May onwards, if anyone's coming from May to the end of August, it could be also the end of September, they're thinking about extending it, you can start in Doolin, hike to the top, and then, if you're with a tour guide, we'll organise transportation to get you back. But then you can go have lunch, and in the afternoon there's a free shuttle bus that includes your entry to the visitor centre that leaves very regularly from Doolin. Just hop on, it brings you up, and it brings you back down again. So you can do the best of both worlds, get in all of the views, and it's actually class.
Yeah, I know that they ran the free shuttle bus through the Burren last year, and that's it. That's the one you're talking about, right? That goes all the way, or is it just back and forth between?
They have multiple routes. Their aim is to get access to the Cliffs of Moher from multiple parts. Some of them were more successful than others, and so they may be cutting some routes. But I definitely know the most popular one was the route from Doolin. That was the most used.
And where should people park for that? Yeah,
so there's plenty of places to park in Doolin. There is paid parking on Fisher Street, which is the pretty street you see with the pink cottage and where Gus O'Connor's pub is. There's another paid parking down at Doolin Pier, and there's also parking as long as you're a customer at the back of Hotel Doolin and at the craft shop there. But I would be careful on just parking your car for the day at some locations if you are not a customer of them.
Right. So any other tips? Have they done any works? Because I know a big part of what they wanted to do was to make the paths, maybe take them from basically what in a lot of places was a rutted path, widening it, putting down gravel and things like that. Have they done any of that?
Yeah. So if you asked me what do I want done, I want the trail reopened fully, so does everyone else. That wasn't done. And it won't get done until this side of October because of its nesting season. Even if they got permission off every landowner right now, it's illegal to do any work on it.
Yeah.
But they did, prior to nesting season, from January up until March, they repaired significant sections on the Doolin side of the Cliffs of Moher. It actually makes the whole thing a little bit shorter because it's so much easier to walk on in sections. So some parts were pretty much muddy section. So for those of you that don't know, sometimes people on our tours like to get engaged. If you're a man out there looking to pop the question, do get in touch. But I remember one year we had a lady, God love her, because the ladies aren't supposed to know. Not supposed to, sometimes they do, but she showed up to this hike wearing a luxurious white tracksuit, like a nice one, like a furry hood and stuff like that. And it was like a March day or whatever, but it wasn't the best weather, and she slipped, went knee deep in mud on one of these sections that's now repaired, thanks be to God. And if you looked at her, you think this guy's gonna call it off immediately. And he followed through, and if you want to message me on Instagram, I can share you the photos of that day because it made for a very funny photo shoot.
you should send me the photos of that. I'll put them into the article.
I will.
Just
God love her. But yeah, large sections are repaired, so it's actually a lot easier to walk on. It's not perfect. There's still a few sections that are a little muddy. If you've rain a couple of days before your experience on the Cliffs of Moher, I would recommend either expecting to get your shoes dirty, or best case scenario, have hiking boots with you. If there's a bout of good weather, which we do get, don't mind what the rumours are saying, it should be rock solid. You should be able to do it in sneakers, no bother.
Cool. Well, Ollie, I want to thank you for taking the time, for sitting out here with this wild but beautiful view and sharing the updates for the Cliffs of Moher and the Cliff Walk. Do you want to end with I'll let you give a little blurb about who you are and what you do?
My name is Ollie. I'm born and bred in County Clare here, and I operate daily tours on the Cliffs of Moher hiking trail and off to the Aran Islands. I went to the Irish College as a teenager on Inisheer, and it is my humble privilege to get to bring people over there every day. We do a bike tour and have tea and scones as well. Just come and visit, honestly. You'll have a great time in Ireland, and Doolin is a lovely place to visit, as is Ennis, and up the banner, that's all I can say.
And you can find out more about Ollie's tours at IrelandFamilyVacations.com/Ollie. He does
you should do that.
The Cliff Walk, the Inisheer. Are you still doing the Ennis tour or no?
Still doing the Ennis tour. Yeah, and remember, guys, if you want to pop the question, get in touch. We also do vow renewals now, Jody. Fun fact.
Exciting.
Yeah. Renewing your love to one another amidst the Cliffs of Moher.
Excellent.
And I'll leave it with this, Jody. What more could you want?